This is Charlie Rose.
Thank you for doing this on this wonderful site.
I mean, this is not tough duty.
No, there's nothing hazardous about this. I mean, the market, on the other hand, what do you think? What's going on, and how low is this going to go, and what needs to be done?
There is no question that we're paying for the excesses of the dot-com period, and consumers in America are hurting. There's no question that higher interest rates last year took mortgage rates, which are variable to a great extent, to new levels. Gas prices, go fill your tank today. Heating oil and gas are both up dramatically, $200-300 a household. And the wealth effect, a lot of people are in the market today, 50-60%, and they had a lot of money they were counting on that. They never had it, but they were counting it. So psychologically, it's had an impact. So we're in a period now of adjustment, but this will pass.
When?
That, you know, if I did that, I'd have a different job.
And be even richer.
Well, rich, I don't know.
But there is a sense, some people think that this may be over by the end of the year.
Well, I wouldn't argue with something like that. I would argue that this is a quick V that's going to be over in 90 days. I would argue that this will take some time to get the excesses out of the system. Inventories. So you saw this morning that inventory to sales ratio had gone up again. And so there's excesses out there. A lot of the high-tech equipment was sold to companies that have gone out of business. So that's come back into the system. So there's going to be an adjustment, but it isn't over. And the high-tech revolution left us, Charlie, with one of the things I like to point out is that in the Japanese bubble, if you will, they got left with steel mills, shipyards, roads.
Yeah. We
got left with a technology that's transforming real businesses. So the technology revolution isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning.
It's saving money for you at GE every day.
Every day.
You know?
And it's making our employees' jobs better. It's making them faster. It's getting rid of the inefficiencies in the system.
Yeah. And you got a higher profile look at your company at every aspect of it, every moment than you possibly could have had.
We have a digital cockpit.
Yeah.
So we look at 5 metrics on each business, punch them up, know them in the market. You know where you are today. The best one I like to think of is the salesperson. The salesperson used to be out calling. I'd call on you, and you'd wait. Where's my delivery? So I'd call somebody in customer service, and they'd say, "Let me check the factory." They'd check the factory,
right.
And by the time you were through, everyone had lied a little bit that it was coming in the morning.
Right.
The facts are now we have a track and trace system. A salesman can look at his screen, know exactly where his customer's order is, what truck it's on, what the number is, just like FedEx
It's
does.
on a truck between Boston and New York right now.
Right now,
It'll
here
be
it
there
is.
in 2 hours.
And he doesn't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah. I want to come back to that in a moment and talk, because you never believed that technology created an old economy, new economy, but then technology transformed business.
Yeah. That was my point for the last 2 years. That it's the greatest transformation I've ever seen in my business life. But there's no such thing as old economy, new economy. People used to sell out of wagons, and people bought from wagons.
Yeah.
Today, people are buying and selling on a different technology, faster, easier, more globally. I mean, you can do business with your supply chain around the world instantaneously. It's a whole different game.
The economy, and if you were Alan Greenspan, your friend, should he cut interest rates more?
Well, I think, you got to look at this. You got to look at Alan's track record. And you got to say when Asia hit, he reacted right. Yeah. Overall, you got to give him an A. There's no question about it. Right now, I'd like to see real action. I think there's a need for real action. People are hurting.
And you believe cutting interest rates would stimulate?
Well, it'll take, let's do it. It'll take mortgage rates down.
Yeah. Housing will be
housing
affected.
Costs down. Anything that's variable rate is down. Credit card costs are down. Credit card balances are down. a number of things occur.
Should the president try to accelerate the tax cuts so that the benefits come in the first couple of years rather than later?
Well, I'll leave that to him. I'll leave that to him. There's no question that this economy needs stimulation. And Alan can do it, Mr. Greenspan can do it on his point, and the Congress and the president together have got to work something out.
Now, why are you saying that? Because you don't want to get involved in that political battle, or because?
Look, I think, but because I'm a believer in more tax cuts. I just believe tax cuts good. Now, distribution
that have a major impact today, not 2 years from now and 3 years from now,
or 10 years from now,
yeah,
in some cases.
right.
Okay, but you know, I think the president's off to a great start, and I think he's trying to work something out with Congress, and I'm staying out of that game.
You said last night that you like his instincts. You like the fact that he has his father's compassion and his mother's toughness.
Right. I believe that. I believe this guy has got his eye on the ball. I think he's got the self-confidence to hire great people. You've seen him do it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, you know, is he smart? Is he smart enough? The smartest thing any human being can do is hire smart people.
Yes.
That says he's brilliant.
That's the definition of smart.
That's the definition of smart.
Yeah. Find the smartest people you can and put them to work.
And he's showing that every day.
Your performance, or the performance at GE, is baked in for the next couple of years. I mean, you are immune
we
to
believe
changing
that.
economics.
Well, no, we're not immune. Our growth rate will slow, but we will grow. I mean, the fact is that 25% of our business, Charlie, comes from short cycle businesses,
Right.
consumer-related businesses, NBC, appliances, light bulbs, things that are really day-to-day businesses. We're impacted by the technology slowdown because our plastics business supplies all the computer makers, all the server makers. So we're impacted to the tune of about 25% of our business has an impact. But we're fortunate enough to have this broad mix of business, so that our long cycle energy, medical, aircraft engine businesses are very strong. So we'll have double-digit earnings in about any scenario.
What has been the annual growth rate of GE since you've been there in earnings?
About 14 to 15%.
Can you keep that up?
More. It's been higher in the last 5 years than it was in the first 5.
Well, you've always said that as a manager, the first 5 years, it takes 5 years to get to know your company.
Well, I think the other thing is I think you can get faster as you get bigger. I think the old law that the bigger you get, the slower you go. If you're diverse, that's not necessarily true because you get more ideas. Business is all about capturing intellect from every person. The more people you can capture it from, the better the intellect, the higher the bar gets raised, and I think you can grow faster.
What's the rule you have for acquiring companies?
A nose, a stomach, a feel. It's not some silly calculation that says the discounted rate of return is X, Y, or Z. We simply say, is it accretive? It's accretive to earnings. Can we manage it? Does the culture fit? And can we grow it? And if that's the answer, we're off to the races. These calculations with a bunch of guys with degrees calculating and predicting isn't what it's all about. It's responding to change. It's moving with change. It's adapting. It's not about this precision.
Over the years that you have been chairman, tell me the values, the concepts that have guided you.
Yep. That every person counts, that you've got to work your tail off to involve everyone in the game. Use all kinds of techniques, management awards, celebrations, parties, fun. Create an atmosphere where everybody counts, and they know they count. Create an organization where the quality of an idea is determined by the idea and not by the stripes on your shoulder. So that kids in the class that have been in the company two years give us direction as to what we're doing and what we're not doing.
And how do you make sure that they know that their ideas have merit and therefore they feel enthusiastic to push them forward?
We celebrate the ideas. We publish them, we put them online, we tell people. Look, in my annual report this year, I talked about a class that had the courage to come to our education class, to our top management. They had been out studying GE for a month. They came in and they said, Jack, this idea of number one or number two that I've been selling forever, that's gotten too restrictive. Everybody is defining their markets so small that they're always going to be number one. You know, if you're number one in this table, that's right. Not the furniture industry, then you can make yourself number one. Well, we hadn't thought of that. It was a great tool for a while, but like any management tool, it had outlived its usefulness.
And this notion percolated from the bottom up?
The bottom up. And they came up and they said, go back next week in your long-range planning cycle meetings and tell every business to come in and define their business so that their share cannot be more than 10%. Now that just opens the mind. So people have to look at how else can what other markets can I play in? Charlie, it's in my annual report this year. It's one of the breakthroughs that came from the bottom. I was in, let me give you another example. I was in the UK. A kid comes in who runs our insurance business there, and he says, I just got through with my mentor. I said, what was that? He said, my mentor. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I've got a young woman in my business who's teaching me the internet. And I spend an hour a day with her. I thought it was the best idea I ever had.
How fast did it take you to get a mentor for yourself?
About, when I got back, about 7 days later, I had a mentor by the end of the week, and the top 1,000 people in GE had a mentor within 2 weeks.
And what's the consequence of that? Take that one instinct, you pick it up from somebody in London who tells you. And you come back.
And I spread it like wildfire.
And what's the consequence for GE?
We take, look, knowledge of the knowledge of the internet was inversely proportional to age. So we took a series of leadership in their 40s and above that hadn't been living it to the extent they should have, and got them doused in it. So we had the bottom of the organization, the young, talking to the top of the organization, the older, and getting two things: great insights into the internet and real gossip from what was happening in the company. So you ended up tipping the pyramid upside down, and it's had an enormous impact.
You encourage people to talk by email?
Oh, absolutely.
To stay in touch with each other?
Constantly.
You learned this because you found out your wife was doing a lot of the Christmas shopping online?
And people in the office, I mean, I didn't learn about it. I learned about its significance because I knew about it. Look, I came very close to retiring as a Neanderthal. Very close. Because
you just said, I don't need it.
I mean, I don't need it. You know, I just don't need it. I'm going to be out of here in 3 years, and I'll tell you one thing, it's changed my whole life.
How so?
I can get everything every minute. I'm much faster. I can handle more balls, and I've become a lunatic about it, so that the company now is totally engrossed in it.
Here's what's interesting about you to me is how fast you reacted to that simple fact. I got a mentor. What do you need with a mentor? And then 2 weeks later, everybody, the top
1,000 people.
1,000 people. You also went into the chairmanship saying, I'm going to revolutionize the place. As good as GE is, you ain't seen nothing yet. We got to change. Where does that come from? The notion that I'm going to be a revolutionary in an institution that had a pretty good track record with CEOs.
Right. Very good. Well, I think the same thing is going to happen now as I leave. My successor knows that his job is not to do what I did, but to take what I did as a launch pad to whole new ideas, to new things. And that's why I disappear. I don't hang around in kibitz. It's his game. And he'll take this company to whole new levels.
Speaking of that, I mean, this is true about any institution, and clearly any institution is made up of the people, not just one person. But I would assume it is one of Jeff's challenge is the mindset that this is not Jack's company anymore. This is Jeff's
Let me
company.
tell you what Jeff's job has been this year, and we both understand it and we articulate it. Everybody thinks they work for Jack. Everybody thinks they buy from Jack.
Right. Yeah.
All the investors think they invest in Jack. He's given that speech 100 times. My job, I didn't give that speech. My job is in the 12 months we're together to make sure that everyone knows that they work for Jeff, they buy from Jeff, to transform those relationships.
Are you daily saying, talk to Jeff about that, talk to Jeff about that?
Absolutely. And
It's his decision,
Jeff
not
had
mine.
an analyst meeting yesterday. I played with some charts before he went. It's his show. I didn't go near it.
Is this hard for you?
Not at all. It's thrilling. It's exciting to see. It is frankly, it's the most exciting thing I've been through, to see the growth of this person.
Yet you say the toughest thing, you've made some series of important decisions that have led to the success of GE. Globalization being one of them, some of the acquisitions you've made,
Right.
and now you've just in the process of acquiring Honeywell.
Right.
But you say the toughest job was picking your successor.
Because I had a stable of great people.
Because it was painful to do that? Is that why it was tough? Or because it was just hard to choose between these people and make a decision about which one was right?
Just think of your children.
Yeah.
I had a team of people that I grew up with. I grew them for the last decade together. We loved each other. We drank together. We laughed together. We played together. We're a family grocery store.
Yeah.
And now it comes to this point that I had to pick one of them. Just picture your own family and picture that challenge. It was the most painful experience of my life. I went through 6 months, a year of sleepless, never missing a day, thinking about it.
Did the board get involved in that, or was that your choice?
No, the board was very involved. The board was very
You
helpful.
led them along in terms of where your thinking was, or not? Can you do that?
I led them, and they led me. It was a very integrative process. For 5 years, I had the board going out without me to see these people.
Yeah.
I'd send them out, and the guys would call me and say, what do I tell them? I said, this is your show. I have no idea what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you want to tell them.
What was it like once you knew? Did you get up one morning on a beautiful day like this and say, look, he's the right age? Well, they're all the right age.
Right.
You know? Did you get up one morning and say, I just know in my bones? And was that a decision that you'd been coming to, either consciously or subconsciously? Or did
I
you
wouldn't let myself. I had been coming there, and I wouldn't let myself close in on it.
Really?
I kept wanting to think it through. Because here's what happened. This is an ironic thing. I asked 3 people in the last 2 years to do this. They did this. We almost hoped that one of them would do something stupid in the square.
Eliminate their possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. But everybody did. And so the pain,
So they made themselves better and more attractive candidates day by day.
day by day. And so the pain, you could, like for example, when I described to the 2 people that I flew out to see that night, I mentioned that last, the pain of telling them, I couldn't tell them why.
Did they ask?
One did and one didn't. And they wanted to know what else could they have done. And I said, look, you couldn't have done anything else. You did 10 times more than I thought you'd do. And so, but the nice thing about it is, we're as good of friends today as we were with them. They're CEOs of big companies. Jeff and the 2 of them, one at 3M, Jim McNerney, and one at Home Depot, Bob Nardelli, we're like this.
But are you now doing things to make Jeff's life easier? For example, are you going to, if the acquisition of Honeywell comes along, there's going to be some overlap and you're going to have to eliminate some jobs. Is that going to come on your watch or his?
Well, I think that's already been defined, what's happened, what's going to happen. So the plan is in place if we can close it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty well baked in by the businesses, and we're not going to eliminate them. The businesses work
Right.
that out. I think, look, if we close Honeywell, I'm hitting the silk. And I probably won't stay till the end of the year.
You're doing what?
Hitting the silk.
You're
the
gone.
parachute.
Oh, the parachutes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the facts of life are, I just won't want to guide this Honeywell thing through to conclusion one way or the other.
What are you going to do? You're going to write your book.
Yep.
What else are you going to do?
Well,
isn't this wrong for you to have a retirement age of 65? You've got all the energy you need. You've got all this experience. You haven't exhausted your ability.
Look, Charlie, if I can design my ideal job, and I haven't told people this, but I'm getting pretty close to finding it. I want to be a consultant to CEOs, a one-man consulting firm. And I want my role to be such that I will take on a half a dozen companies or so, quietly, and I'll work with the CEO, not with the board, not reviewing the company. And I'll try and see if I can make a Jeff Immelt, a Bob Nardelli, or a Jim McNerney, or a bunch of other guys we have in our company, out of these people. And if the CEO that I work with fails, I failed. So I think it's the ideal job. It allows me to talk to kids.
Yeah.
It allows me to do all things I like to do. Teach management, evaluate people, look at strategies, and do no paperwork and no bureaucracy and no nonsense.
Does this kind of thing that I now propose have any interest to you? You supported George W. Bush for president. The have-nots in this world, beyond this country, but including this country, need somebody with your kind of skills, to lead a charge to make a difference. Does that kind of thing appeal to you at all? Because of the skills you have, because of the contacts you have, because of the respect that you have earned around the world, because of the fact that, you know how to bring to bear talent to an issue.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more serious that threatens the fabric of the world today.
Charlie, you'd have to define the job. I mean, the facts are I wouldn't get near the political arena.
I know that.
Okay?
Yeah.
I wouldn't get near it. It takes a certain type, and I'm not the type. But I'd love to contribute. The Cardinal in New York is my friend.
Yeah.
I worked hard when he was in Bridgeport for him on the right things.
Right.
I mean, I care about a lot of things. So I got a lot of energy and a lot of things to give back, and I want to give back. But I don't want to give back in any political arena at all. It's distasteful to me.
Why is it distasteful?
I just don't like the process. I don't like what they do to people. I just don't find it a rewarding career. From what I've seen of it, I just don't find it to be a rewarding career.
But beyond that, it says something terrible about the way politics work, doesn't it? Not only is it inefficient, but it's corrupting.
Look at those hearings people go through.
Yeah.
Charlie, just think about it. Why would a civilized human being want to subject themselves to some congressional committees slapping them around? Charlie.
And you first thing people in the political life learn is they can't make a decision today and see its results tomorrow.
Well, I think, I think we've had great political people. I mentioned a couple last night. Sam Nunn's a great citizen, a great American. I think there are all kinds of people like that. It's just that it isn't for me. Yeah. It isn't for me, Charlie.
When you've given a lot of credit to your mother.
Yeah.
What was it that she instilled in you? Was it the will to win?
The will to win, but see reality. Never see the world the way you wished it would be. Always see the world the way it is. Don't kid yourself. She'd say it to me constantly.
Don't kid yourself.
Don't kid yourself. And I try every day of my life not to take myself too seriously, not to kid myself. I think I'm the same person I was when I left Salem, Mass. I'm shocked by some of the good things that have happened to me. I'm surprised by it. I'm always surprised. I'm the same person.
You mean you're surprised that you've had the success you've had?
Success.
Or the fact that people seem to almost enshrine you with a kind of cult-like quality?
Well, that's an overstatement, but I mean, I'm surprised. Look, I'm Jack, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a guy who knows he's lucky every day. I got the best job in the world. I hang around with the best people in the world. I love the people I hang around with. I get a chance. I always tell my wife, I can hardly wait. We got our 2-day management meeting every quarter starting next Tuesday. I said, I can hardly wait to go. She said, why wouldn't you want to go? You picked them all. They're all your friends. But I love these people. Yeah. And we go and we have a blast. We have a totally open, we're always trying to raise the bar. Yeah. Everybody shows up at this meeting and we ask for their best idea. What's the best idea in the last 90 days? And Bob Wright from NBC comes with his best idea. And somebody else from Aircraft Engine comes with their best idea. and we leave there. We think we've raised the bar. We feel not smarter than anybody else. We just know more than anybody else.
This is a great time to be a GE. You have incorporated the internet, yet the penetration of the digital revolution is just beginning in terms of what it offers. Tell me how you use it. Tell me how bigness can be attractive and an advantage.
Well, first of all, you got to believe you got a learning organization, an organization that's insatiably has a desire to learn from each other. So we have a team in Erie, Pennsylvania. They develop an auction site, Source Bid it's called. Within a month, it's now the Universal GE auction site, 18 months ago. Now you've got Six Sigma, which is our quality program.
Right.
You've got suppliers approved all over the world, Malaysia, Mexico, India, etc. This is one example. You now go out for bids to these suppliers for all the GE goods. And you sit there in your screen, and you and I could watch it.
Yeah.
And you watch the bid take place 24 hours, and you watch Mexico bidding against China, bidding against this, bidding against that. And you're getting 8 to 10% to 12%, final net cost 6 to 8% off almost everything you buy. Almost everything you buy. And last year we bought something in the neighborhood of $7.5 billion. This year we'll do 15 to 16 purchased goods that way. So that's one example. The other example is that one I used in the back room, where you had all these expediters and customer service people in the middle between the customer and the plant or the service. Now, online, when it's coming, how it's coming, what the needs are all laid out for them. We're just touching digitization. What we did was every mistake there was to make in digitization. We copied, first of all, we went the .com route. We had sell models. Then we had a buy model. And then we had the fact that it was a separate activity. So we built warehouses and put them in warehouses so they could be entrepreneurs, had kegs of beer, did all the stuff to make them look like Silicon Valley. Yeah. That's nonsense. They got to be right in the middle of the business. They're a workflow tool. And unless the business and the company itself in its guts owns it, it isn't worth anything.
Does this present you because of your own, in a time of depressed value, stock market value, of a lot of companies? You have cash, you have stock price.
Yeah.
Is this a time to go hunting?
No, it's a time for us, the way we see it, we're always hunting. When we do 200 acquisitions a year. We do 4 a week. So hunting, we're always there. Values are out there in some cases, but we're not interested in going into some of the stuff that's been cratered. That's not games we want to play in. But what the opportunity, Charlie, is everyone's hunkering down. Yeah. The time to put the pedal to the metal is when everyone else is hunkering down. So now the chance for us is to widen the digitization gap, to get more intimacy with our customers, to get more sales online with our customers, to have more information about turbines, aircraft engines.
To solidify your relationship with them so you can expand the relationship. So rather than owning 75% of that business, you'll own 100% of that business.
Let's not use numbers that high.
Get over carried away.
I'd like it to be that high, but it isn't. But to gain share, to differentiate yourself further, this is the time when having a lot of resources, when everyone else is hunkering down, is a chance to widen the gap. Look, the whole point is every person in our company wakes up in the morning, hopefully, and every leader I know does. There's change going on now. It's uncertain. It's a mess. Now you can sit and go like this and change,
or you can
go like that.
This is opportunity.
And we just breathe in our blood every day. Now is the time to change the game.
But is there nothing out there that you see that you've been thinking about that you want in terms of?
Well, I wouldn't tell you if I did.
Well, just like. But you've talked about the fact that you think you need to make an acquisition in financial services as a follow-up to Honeywell.
Absolutely.
So you've already said that.
Absolutely. And we're out looking every day. And you read some of the things that we're looking at. They're published most days.
Yeah. Have you changed your mind about NBC? I mean, you seem to go, at times you like it a lot, And other times whether that has to do with how well their primetime schedule is doing
No,
or
no,
not, and
no.
revenue and ad sales, and what you see is the potential of it.
Well, right now it's having its trouble with the advertising
Right,
market.
right.
Of course. But look, our cable properties we've built have done very well. MSNBC, CNBC have done very well. We got a great station franchise. We're using the internet now for local news and starting to build a business there. I think NBC was a valuable asset to us in the internet game. It got us great awareness. We made a lot of money in equity marketing. Now we've had some problems with some of our properties, but we've made a lot of money over the last 3 years in GE Capital and in NBC from some of the stuff we learned in NBC.
GE Capital produces for you
40% of our earnings.
40% of your earnings.
Yeah,
Is
but
that-
it's not. See, but that's one of the problems we have. GE Capital isn't GE Capital. GE Capital is a bunch of businesses, 26 businesses.
Yeah.
And okay, of which I think 9 are in our top 20 businesses. So GE Capital is a diverse set of businesses.
What's the best decision you made as chairman?
Oh, I think without question, people.
People.
Right? Focusing on people, living people, knowing my job is people,
And
spending
the worst
all my time with
decision
people.
was people?
No, the worst decision it could be made to that because my worst decision was buying Kidder Peabody,
Yeah.
which was an investment bank. It had a whole different culture. The fit made no sense. The fit made sense because we were in the LBO crisis.
Right,
we wanted
right.
distribution. We were big in LBOs. So technically, but emotionally, it was a terrible fit.
Is that what was wrong with it? That the
Culturally.
culture didn't work?
The culture didn't work. I mean, the idea of sharing.
But Ross Perot had tried to come to Wall Street and screwed it up. I mean, did you think you were different?
Look, there's a bit of hubris in all of us, okay? I had just done RCA. I was feeling my oats.
Yes.
Two or three guys
Flexing.
on my boards, Walter Wriston, Lou
Yeah.
Preston, two smart guys,
Right.
tried to stop me.
Tried to stop you.
Oh,
Said,
yeah.
don't go there.
That's dumb, Jack. But I was so full of myself. I had bought employers' reinsurance.
Yeah.
I had made about 5 straight good ones, big
Yeah.
ones.
Right.
And I was on a roll. I thought I was just bigger than life. But every time you think you're bigger than life, you get knocked in your butt.
Yeah.
You know-
So what's the lesson of that? I mean, you think you learn more from your mistakes or from your
All.
successes?
My book is all about my mistakes. It's not about my successes. My book is all about my stumbles.
So is Kidder Peabody the main one?
It's the biggest one, but how to hire. I used to hire when I went to Asia first. I'd always hire a Japanese employee based on how well they spoke English. I mean, what else was I going to pick it on, okay? And I got some of the dumbest guys you ever want to see in your
But
life.
they spoke good English.
They spoke good English, okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a whole list of, I used to hire people with multiple degrees in philosophy and law. I found out the more degrees they have in more disciplines,
Yeah.
the more of a dabbler they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? I mean, they're bright and all that, but they're not that passion, that sweat. It isn't there. They're curious. You don't need a lot of curious people. You need a lot of people that are passionate, creative, driven.
What's wrong with Japan?
You know, if I had the answer to that, I'd really be another guy.
It's amazing, isn't it? That a
But
country
you know,
could come
it
on
works,
such...
and they still have great savings. What really happened, the currency got, in my opinion, too strong, just like we were too strong. We had presidents walking around in 1982, a strong dollar is a strong American. We were joking, okay? Well, the yen got down to 90. Japan became less competitive in some industries. And, but you know, I'd still bet there.
You would.
Absolutely, and we do. We made major acquisitions in the last 3 years there. Couldn't be happier with the results.
But that would seem to me to be a place that offers enormous opportunity. I mean, the
I
more
think so.
trouble it is, the more opportunity, whether it...
That's the speech.
You've made that speech.
That's the speech.
Let's go where there's trouble because there's value. There's...
We had a kid come in to me
Yeah.
to buy $1 billion+ worth of car loans in the middle of the Thai crisis. Now I'm sitting at home, flipping through the presentation before the meeting the next day, and I turn to my wife and say, "We're going to blow this kid right out of the room tomorrow." He wants us to buy $1.5 billion of loans, now at very low prices, in cars in Thailand. Now, I just come back from there. The whole place is sinking.
Yes.
Now, this kid walks in the next day,
Yeah.
and he knows he's in for nothing but trouble. And he walks into a hostel.
Now, who's sitting in the room? There's you and...
Myself, my chief financial officer.
All right, so these are high-powered guys.
And this guy's in, making his case. Why we got to do this? And he starts out, and we sneer at him. And he goes on to explain why Thai people, there are no car manufacturers in Thailand, just assembly. So the currency's devalued, so they can't buy imported cars. Why a Thai will sleep in the car before they'll give it up. It's the last thing they'll give up. Okay? He makes this persuasive case as to why, and we had a car leasing business there. Yeah. Well, to make a long story short, 45 minutes later, he had $1.5 billion. and we bought it, and it's been a home run.
He was right.
He was 100% right.
He understood the culture.
Right, and now he's the CEO of GE Japan. I mean, he was rewarded for that gutsy move.
So he's GE Japan's guy because he was smart and made a point, and he could back it up.
Right.
Could you feel in the room that moment, the shifting? I mean, saying to yourself, I was going to kick this guy's butt,
Right.
and all of a sudden he's walking away with $1.5 billion.
Absolutely, it came like that.
You could feel it coming.
Came like that.
Yeah.
Well, it was $1.5 billion worth of paper. It was like a $250 million investment, but it's $1.5 billion. So you had a discount on the paper, and we owned all the cars.
Why does it take? I mean, you always say that it is stupid for a company to hire, or an institution, university, anyone else, to hire anybody who's 55, 60 years old. To run an institution, you ought to go out and get somebody that can give you a good...
Well, let's not say 55 anymore because the age.
60.
But clearly a 3 to 4 year run, in my view, is not enough time.
You
to
hardly
do a
get up
job.
to speed.
You can hardly get up to speed. You can hardly get going. I've seen in corporations, in my time in GE, 4 and 5 CEOs per company. Yeah. Now, good people, but each one wanted him to make a statement.
Yeah.
So they're going to go this way with this guy.
Yeah, they got to clear the deck every time.
And the employees are sitting there reeling from this inconsistency. So I'm a believer in long tenure. I just am a strong believer in long tenure.
But it's still, you say it takes you 5 years to get a fix on a place.
It takes you a period of time. It can be less than that, but it's 3.
But I mean, take a case like you're a new chairman.
Yeah.
His whole career has been spent at GE.
Right.
He's done nothing in his business career but work for GE.
Right.
Is that healthy?
Yes. Let me tell you why. Because in GE, you don't work for a single product company. He's been in medical. Yeah. He's been in appliances. He's been in plastics. He's been in global assignments. So he could have had a different name on the company, and he's been running an $8 billion company here, a $4 billion company here, a $2 billion company here, all in different industries. That's the benefit of GE. It's like an intellectual playpen if you like business. You go from this to this to this to this. I mean, think of my job. We've got diamonds. We're selling diamonds, okay?
Yeah.
Beautiful diamonds, $1 million diamonds. We're selling jet engines. We're selling loans, personal loans. We've got insurance companies in Japan. I mean,
you're making television programs.
You're doing all that. Yeah. I mean, you never have to sit and grind it out in some...
Does GE represent for the future what? As a business model? As a management idea? What?
I think GE understands what its core competency is. Its core competency is the development of people. And in the end, great people make great things happen. And involving all of them is really the answer. That any person that works in GE, at any level in the company, has a chance. That people have a chance to reach their dreams, Charlie. And it's about that. We don't talk about a core competency being plastics or engines or technology. We talk about it as people. This is a people machine. That's if I've done anything in 20 years, it's make it a people factory.
Here's what you're saying. I want people that dream, and I want people that sweat.
Right.
If you're a dreamer, and you're a sweater,
right,
we may have a place for you.
We got a lot of opportunity for you. And it's a meritocracy. There's no cronyism. There's no, It's clearly, because everybody sees everybody. It's all transparent.
Kidder Peabody was the worst mistake.
Yep.
What was the biggest missed opportunity?
Drug companies.
Really?
A drug
Because the
company.
profit margin is so great, or because it would have what?
It was something that would have given us great opportunities. It would have fit with, in the end, the way we've developed our medical business and how it's grown. It would have fit better than I thought. I just never could afford it. And there were times maybe
And
I
it's
should have
too
had
late?
more guts.
It's too late?
Oh, Jesus, yeah, now it is. Now it is.
Because their values have gotten so
multiples
big.
are off the chart.
You're going to get out of, in the next 10 years, General Electric, the appliance business. In 10 years, you will not be in the appliance business.
You said that.
You believe that.
You said that.
You believe that.
You said
You
that.
believe it.
Charlie
You
Rose,
know
you
it,
said-
and you believe it.
You said that.
Don't you? You do.
said that.
Tell me this. Do you believe that or not?
Charlie, I wouldn't tell you if I was going to buy something or sell something if my life depended on it.
It's not a business that fits for you. It doesn't work for you anymore. You don't need it.
Let me put it another way.
All right.
It's one of the reasons we like it. It generates a lot of cash,
Yeah.
and it's a soft face to the consumer.
What do you mean? It gives them a sense of GE.
A GE.
It's something they put their
They
hands
feel
on
it.
and like
They touch
and say,
it every
"Gee,
day.
it's a good company because my
They
washer and
like
dryer
it.
works."
It works, and we service it well. They like it. So somebody will make a decision about it. I wouldn't bet my life we'll have it.
All right, let me just ask you this. Just give me one straight answer on this.
I give you straight answers on everything.
You do. Have you thought about selling it?
I'm not going to tell you whether I bought something. Of course I have. Of course I have. Of course I have.
Yeah.
But the time isn't right.
Timing is important.
Very important. And the right fit. If you're ever going to sell an appliance business, you got to have a good partner.
Yeah.
And you never sell it outright because you never want your brand to be out there without your control.
Yeah.
So there's lots of,
You. What skill did you wish you have had that you didn't have over the last 20 years in running this company? Anything? When you look at what you did, didn't do, wished you could do?
Well, I clearly wish I had the self-confidence I have today when I got the job. Self-confidence builds at your mother's knee, builds constantly. It builds through a lot of successes. I mean, I couldn't sit and talk to you 20 years ago without being a nervous wreck. I would have acted faster. I could have done all this stuff in half the time if I had enough guts.
So confidence.
Confidence.
It's a value. That's not, I mean, it's like you don't wish you had a graduate degree in anything. Just the
No.
confidence to believe in yourself, to trust your instincts.
Trust my instincts. Trust my instincts.
Why are you...
And I do that today.
All right. Why are you a good golfer?
Well, I'm getting worse.
It's about hand-eye stuff when you're...
I'm not as good as I was 5 years ago.
But you will
I'm gonna
never...
be.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. But you will never forget the fact that you, on one sunny day, beat on over 18 holes of golf, Greg Norman.
Well, let's put it this way. I had a lower score at the end of 18 holes than he did.
Now, why do you define it that way?
Because he played his tees and I played the back tees, but he played the pro.
You were playing the girls' tees and he was playing the pros' tees?
No. I was playing the back tees.
Yeah, and what was
But
he
he
playing?
was playing the tips.
Oh, I see.
So I was 6,700 yards and he was 7,100 yards. We weren't playing head to head. We got to about the 14th hole and he said to me, Jack, you're a stroke ahead of me. And I hadn't been focusing on it. I was having the time of my life, though, the round of my life.
Yeah.
And
You knew you were in the zone.
oh yeah, I mean, it was incredible. Everything I hit. It was like God came down and said, Jack, this is your moment.
Your day. That's right. You've done something right.
So,
Here's your reward.
Here's your- so at the end of the day, we added the scores. Now, we knew that the last 4 holes was grinding it out.
Yeah.
And so the only time we had a match was the last 4 holes, really. And I ended up having a 69, and he had a 70. And he was a great sport. He signed it. And he's so sick of seeing that card.
Well, I guess he is. You know why? You sent it to 8,000 people.
At least. And if you
And
find,
what would you say in the message? You'd say, just thought you'd see what I did on the golf course yesterday?
Well, I got to tell you, well, everyone in the company was talking about, because I was talking about.
Of
Well,
course.
I opened every meeting up with that.
I'm surprised you didn't put it on NBC.
Well, I would have if I had thought of it.
You're on the dais with a guy from GE.
Greg
Norman is,
was.
right.
He's on the dais with a guy from GE. It's been 2 years since we played golf. And he's making a comment. And just as he gets up to make the comment, the guy says, I'd like you to see this guy called me and said, stop it.
It's enough.
He said, I was at the Olympics, and he came and gave me a case of wine and said, will this get you to play me one more time?
Yeah.
I said, no, I'll never play golf with you again in my life.
Why do you play well, though? I mean, you're a scratch golfer. Or
No,
have
no.
been. Well, you played 72, 73, 74.
Yeah, but I'm now shooting, in
What?
the high 70s.
But was it because you started so young, or was it
Yeah.
because you had a passion for it and it was a sport you loved and you applied the same dedication to the sport that you do to your business?
No, I was pretty good as a kid,
Yeah.
and then I remarried.
Yeah.
And I married a woman who had never picked up a golf club. And she came out one weekend, and I went out on a Saturday morning, and she said, where are you going? I said, I'm going golfing. That's where we did it 30 years ago, 40 years ago. She said, well, what am I going to do? I just got off from work.
Exactly.
Okay. And so she raced up to the golf course and asked for lessons, got lessons, and I started teaching her. I became so much better teaching her, and she became a hell of a golfer. She's an 8 handicap now.
Yeah.
She plays well. In 10 years, she's
That's
gone
great.
from-
You can play together.
Yeah, we play all the time together. It's
Yeah.
great. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. But
Any unrealized
Charlie,
dreams for you?
I am so far beyond any dreams I ever could have had for myself. Charlie, I wanted to make $30,000 when I was 30. I wanted to have a job where I wasn't in a mind-numbing place. You got to remember what I know, and I fight every day that our employees don't have. I had a job at Parker Games, drilling holes in corks in college. I'd drill a hole and I'd throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
And the guy would come along, put a stick in it in the next station, and make a game called Dig.
Right.
Every time I almost got the bottom of the barrel filled with my pedal and my cork, the guy would come and empty it. It was devastating. The job was numbing. I'd look at my watch. Now, for the last 40 years of my life, I've been fighting the clock every day to stay longer.
Yeah.
And I want everybody in GE to have that feeling. I hate anybody that we give a mind-numbing job to. So I know what those bad jobs are like. And our job is to make better jobs. And our job is to make better jobs for lots of people. So, like, for example, we spread stock options to 30,000 employees. We have over 10,000 people with $1 million. That's it.
10,000
10,000
people.
that have made $1 million on options.
I'm sitting home one Sunday morning. I'm watching Meet the Press. Russert, who I sold his house to in Washington. My house sold to
Really?
him. Brokaw sold to me, I sold to Russert. So I'm sitting there, and he ends his show by saying, Chief, thank you for the Christmas present. I'm saying to myself, Welch just gave him about $10 million in stock options. That lucky.
Well,
He's not only having fun, he's not only doing a great job, but he just picked up a gazillion stock options. Am I right?
he's done well, and he's been a great GE supporter. I mean, in terms of, Tim has worked his tail off with the employees.
Oh, really?
I mean, he's gone out to meetings.
Yeah.
He goes to our GE meetings. He represents the best of our values.
Speaking of this, and we're going to close this down. Corporations today, I mean, do you think that you know, a lot of people look at corporations and think that's part of what's wrong with America?
Charlie, that's crazy.
And that they're not, they don't care about people, they only care about profits, and Wall Street makes them care only about profits this quarter.
Charlie, I was CEO of this company in 1981 and 2 in the recession. And I ran the United Way operation in Connecticut. And I'd go door to door trying to get CEOs to give me money. And they were all broke. And they'd tell me, no, I'm sorry, we can't do it, we can't do it. I saw there for the firsthand what's wrong when a company isn't successful. The only thing a company can do is to provide satisfied customers that make it successful, that all its employees participate in it. I mean, the average GE employee, guess who the largest shareholder in GE is? It's the employees. The employees own $35 billion worth of GE stock. Our employees, from the first hourly employee. So when I talk to our people, I say, don't talk about the fat cats on Wall Street. Don't do it for them. Do it for the guy in the shop.
Okay. Beyond your responsibility in running this institution, it has been, and I don't know what the market says today, but I assume it's still, in terms of value and market cap, the biggest company
In the world.
in the world.
It was at 10 o'clock.
But we can't tell. What is your responsibility beyond your responsibility to the stockholders and beyond your responsibility to the employees?
Yeah.
What's the responsibility?
To mentor. Let's just take some programs. We have a volunteer organization made up of some 30,000 G employees in every town. We mentor in schools. We give $1 million to schools in a city in Cincinnati, Aiken High School, with a great principal, with a great bunch of kids. They end up going from 3% going to college to 60% going to college. GE families adopt the kids. That happens in town after town in GE. We have an enormous desire to give back. Volunteerism is, we have an organization that's full-time devoted to volunteerism, building Habitat for Humanity homes, mentoring kids, building up playgrounds, volunteers at every walk in the company. That's what we do. And people say to me, I had an interview the other day with a well-known public broadcaster who said to me, well, you're a corporation and I'm a citizen.
As if you weren't a citizen.
That's 60s.
Right.
We're Andy Lack, we're Bob Wright, we're Tom Brokaw, we're me. We're a bunch of human beings with souls. And we care. We happen to be in a building that's called a corporation, has bricks on it. It means nothing. This idea of corporations, I mean, I guess everybody needs somebody to throw a bomb at. But the facts are, Charlie, corporations are people. They're absolutely, they sweat, they have blood, they have hurts, they have families, they have kids to educate, they have all these things. They're not bricks, they're not machines.
You mentioned Andy Lack. His wife is Betsy Lack. What do you think she's going to think when she sees you sitting with me here? What are you going to tell her?
I'm going to tell her to talk to you.
I made you do it.
You forced
Betsy,
me.
he's sorry. I forced him to do it. The location was too beautiful. We had no choice. A couple of cameras happened to be here, so we said, why not? You're off the hook.
Thank
you, Jack.
Charlie,
Jack
thanks
Welch,
a lot.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
Jack Welch for the hour, chairman of GE, soon to be involved in new endeavors. See you next time.